Welcome to Surrender School.
Okay, everybody, welcome to Supercharge Your Recovery, also known as Part B. You'll notice that this says fewer questions, deeper answers. And the idea here is Supercharge 1.0 was about kind of a journey into yourself. Supercharge 2.0 is a journey into relationships. And the underpinning is how do we move from coping to celebrating? We spend a lot of time coping through our whole life. We're coping. How do we shift that just a little bit so what we're doing is actually celebrating instead of just coping? Okay, you'll almost always need pen and paper, even if you're not a note taker. So buy a journal. And Joyce, I hear you. Not everybody likes beautiful journals. Sometimes you just want a simple journal. I'm a beautiful journal person with a beautiful, nice pen, so I kind of assumed that, and I apologize for that. Anyway, so make sure that you have something to write on, because there's going to be some work where you're going to have to do that. All right, real quick, an ad for the retreat that we have coming up. And the retreat is June 12th through 14th here in Las Vegas. It should be a lot of fun. Out on the website, you can register there. Also, you can look at the schedule that's there and so forth. That's cool. Notice that we've now, the committee for the retreat has extended the early cutoff to February 15th. Otherwise, it would be today. But if you want to come to the retreat, there's still space available for that. And we get hotel rooms at special pricing, so you can come a day early or a day late. It's $75 or something, so it's pretty cheap. Anyway, I think it should be really good. And it's basically recovering together a compassionate journey. So I like that. This is the schedule of the 17 weeks that we will be doing Supercharge 2.0. One of the things you'll notice is instead of like making it up as we go along, we actually know what it is we're going to be teaching and I'm going to be talking about. So if you want to take a picture of this screen so that you have that, this will be posted. There may be a few slight changes. The main thing to notice that we are skipping Easter weekend and Memorial Day weekend. Those two, we will not be holding all the other Sundays we will, but those 2 Sundays we won't. So just kind of keep that in mind. But if you take a picture of this, you have it, and it's going to be pretty close. The topics will be pretty close to this. I'll be really clear on what your assignments are, so don't worry about that. All right, let's do the mission statement for the Surrender School. At Surrender School, we recover. Our mission is to share 12-step and other supportive recovery solutions with those who want a healthy relationship with food. We are not an official 12-step meeting, but we do try to adhere to the spirit of the traditions, and we're pretty good. Okay, let's take a moment to feel your breath going in and out, feel your feet on the floor, and be as present as you can be today. And then together, let's say the Surrender School set-aside prayer. God, help me to set aside everything I think I know, to leave space for what I have yet to learn. All right, thank you. All right, this is step 1, session 1A. Most of the steps have 2 weeks, except for a couple of them, and toward the end, they're only 1 week each. But basically, this is Supercharge Your Recovery 2.0. A couple things I want to talk about. All right, here are the changes. Here's what the schedule will look like each week, and here is how we changed it. First of all, because the vast majority of you came for 1.0, and so we're so accustomed to sharing and learning together, the breakout rooms will be right up front. There won't be like sharing initially. I always did an initial share to kind of warm everybody up, and then you'd go to the breakout rooms after that. Right now, like we start, bam, people go into the breakout rooms, which means you want to be on time. The other thing you want to be sure is that one thing is these are static breakout rooms, which means the leader will be the same and the people will be the same, and it won't be by type. So basically, after this, Lori and I are meeting this afternoon, and everybody that's here today, and others that have told us that they couldn't come today, but they want to be part of this, we're basically going to put everything in a basket and draw the name out, and put them in different rooms. That's God doing that, not us. So it's going to be randomly picked, but then the rooms will stay the same. That was a request that people had because they were sharing with different people, different weeks. And it's actually, I think now the sharing can be deeper, which is a whole idea, right? Is that it's not a lot of writing, but we want to go deeper. It's actually called going deeper. All right. So once again, these aren't by type. What else do I want to say? And right now, if you volunteered in 1.0 for being a leader, let us know. We're using those same people. Unless you decide you don't want to do that, let us know. And if you'd also like to be a leader of a breakout room, let us know that as well. And basically what the leader for the breakout room does is just make sure that people kind of stay on topic, because there are specific topics we're talking about, and then they time the sessions because the breakout rooms are about what we wrote about, what we worked on during the week. Okay, so there'll be a breakout room. Today it isn't this way, but on other weeks, the breakout room is first, then there's topic 1 with some sharing after that, topic 2 with some sharing, and always at the end of the day, at the end, I will cover a homework assignment. So it's, and they're already all built. It's just a matter of plugging the stuff in. So I think we're good to go. I have a bee, and you notice that the bee is out on the website, and I have the bee other places. And I want to talk for a second about the bee. I picked the bee because there's a story that says that aerodynamically, the bee should not be able to fly. Probably everybody's heard that, right? I mean, because a lot of companies will use the bee because it can do things that shouldn't be able to be done. However, with modern technology and the cameras that they have, they're so precise. They realize that in actuality, the bee can fly. So that is a rumor, that is an urban myth that the bee should not be able to fly. Bees are able to fly. They don't fly in the same way that an airplane does. They don't fly in the same way that a bird does, because in actuality, bees are flexible. Their bodies flex and their wings flex. So they are flexible. And the reason I chose the bee is because so are we. We are flexible. We are not rigid and the same. We change over time, and we are flexible to what's happening in our lives. Sometimes we don't realize that we are that, but we are that. We are flexible. And that's why I chose the bee. And I want to say too, for those that are coming to the retreat, there's a little bee pin, and that's a picture of the bee pin, but it's a little bee pin that you can put on your hat or wear on your collar or whatever. It'll be attached to a gift bag that we're giving to everybody that is coming to the retreat. Topic 1. And I say I'm going to get the buzzing started because we're going to talk about, and with the first week of each of the steps, I cover a step and I give you some things to think about as you're working on the step. One other thing I want to say, last year we kind of built it as we went along. Obviously, I've said that before, but what we're doing this year is I will introduce the topic, and then you will work on your own during the week on those topics. And then you come the next week and share in the breakout room, and then I'll cover the next topic, which you will work on that week, and then you come to the breakout room. So it's I think it will help drive things a little bit more forward. I don't know that I would ever change 1.0, but 2.0, once again, whenever I build a class, I build it for a specific audience. And it doesn't mean that other people can't learn from it. It just means I'm pointed toward the audience. That audience are people that have been through 1.0, right? They've done the work in 1.0. Great. So, but everybody else can learn as well. It's just that's who I point it toward. And therefore I'm letting you know that how we've changed this. Okay. So basically the first topic is beyond admitting powerlessness. So step 1, I acknowledge that I'm powerless over reality, that my life can become unmanageable. And once again, I admit that I am powerless over, in my case, food, alcohol, whatever, that my life has become unmanageable. I am altering that a little bit. I acknowledge that I'm powerless over reality, right? I don't get to pick reality. It doesn't give a shit about my opinion. And that my life can become unmanageable if I don't realize that I'm powerless over reality. All right, so let's talk about this real quick. I just want to say, what does powerless mean? It means I am unable to produce the effect that I want. That's what powerless means. I am unable to produce the effect that I want. And so a couple things to think about. What I want is driven by my type and my instinct stack. It is absolutely driven by that. I think it's me that wants this, and it's actually my type and the instinct stack that and I will say false self, and false self, by the way, is just that protective film that I put on top of myself to protect myself as a child, and it stays there. Great. It will always be there. That's fine. It just isn't, I just can't let it be in charge. My true self needs to be in charge. But what I want, what I am powerless, unable to produce the effect I want, is driven by my type and my instinct stack. In addition to that, I use behaviors of my own type to get what I want. And we all do this. Some gently manipulate, some hit you over the head with a with a bat, and that would be the 8, right? But I use the behaviors of my own type to get what I want. Here is reality. You can't always get what you want. You can't always get what you want, but you just might find you get what you need. And notice this is Rolling Stones, Richard. This is a call out to you and all the music that you bring to us anyway. But the idea here is I think I should get what I want. My behavior is trying to get what I want, but what I want is driven by my type and instinct stack. Super important to realize this. By the way, the realization of this lets me unattach from these so that I don't, the urgency that I need this goes away or at least diminishes because I basically can unattach from that. I can become detached from that because in the past I believed it was me. And now I realize, oh, no, no, this is just a part of me. This isn't me. This is a part of me that is trying to protect me. And I can basically pull away from it, which is what we want to do. All right. The second part is unmanageable, just means uncontrollable. And a couple of questions I have on that. Are we supposed to control life? If we come to the world with the belief that we're supposed to control it, that's certainly a different thing than just living your life, right? And me, who is like an 8 and like into controlling everything, the realization that I'm not supposed to control life, I'm just supposed to live life. That's like a relief. I feel like like pressure being let off of when you do the pressure cooker and you just open that thing, it goes. That's what it feels like when I can say, I'm not supposed to control this. I'm supposed to just live this. Okay. And in reality, usually it isn't life that we find uncontrollable, it's other people. Even in situations, it's almost to the other people who are causing the situations. And we feel like that you should be able or want to be able to control that, and you can't. And then the real question is, are we supposed to control other people? Right? We spend so much of our time. And by the way, whenever I work with anybody and they spend all their time talking about other people and what they do and what they want, well, stop. It has nothing to do with it. They're a person too, and they get to want what they want, driven by their type and instinct. They get to do that, right? The real question is, right? Me. What's going on with me as a result of this? And usually it's because we're not getting what we want. Pretty simple. Okay. I do want to say I changed. So during 1.0, I changed in my own mind I admit I'm powerless to acknowledge. And then I listened to a Mark Nepo class that he taught that was really cool. And he said, admit has two meanings. Admit can mean confess, right? Which is the way I interpret it. But admit can also mean letting it in. Like you admit someone into a concert, right? You admit them. And I'm like, oh, what if I could say I admit, as in let in the knowledge that I am powerless over reality? I thought that was cool. I'd never thought of it that way. Here is what I want you to do. Everybody get your pen and paper out because we're going to do our very first exercise. At the top of the paper, I want you to select a person, write down the name of the person that you are powerless over and frustrated by. Someone that you are powerless over and frustrated by. Now, write that person's name at the top of the page. And then take a minute, and I'll actually give you a minute. I'm going to actually put my timer on. I want you to take a minute and jot down something that you wish that person would do differently. Okay. If somebody is not muted and needs to be. Okay. So what you want to do is person's name at the top, and then just jot down something that you wish that person would do differently. And this is someone, this frustrates you that they don't do this differently. Take a minute to write that. Just a minute. Okay. Now what I want you to do is in the middle of the page, I want you to select a person that you're powerless over, but not frustrated by. Select a person that you're powerless over, but not frustrated by, and jot down something that you wish they would do differently, but you're not frustrated by it. You just wish they would do it differently. Okay, come on back to me. And the question that I have is, what is the difference between person A and person B? So we are going to do, if you remember the moon shadows are really cool. And all that is just basically you look at the moon and this big bright moon, and there's a shadow behind you. And moon shadows are rare and special. So that is what is happening when we share. So let's share. What is the difference between person A and person B? I'm going to stop sharing. All right, Melissa, go ahead.
This was super easy for me because something happened right 10 minutes before this began. And of course, it happened with my husband. So I wrote his name at the top of the list. And all my things that I wrote down said, I wish he would stop, blah, blah, blah. Stop micromanaging me. Stop taking offense to everything if he doesn't feel appreciated. I'm not a damn mind reader. Stop worrying about me. Stop being so insecure. So it was stop, 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 stop. When I wrote down the other person, a niece that I love that I know has had a very troubled life, I was not frustrated by her. I had wishes for her. My wishes. I wish she could trust me a bit more easily, but I totally understand, given her past, why she has a problem with trust. And I wish for her to be knitted into a loving spiritual community. It's not in my control, so I don't waste a lot of sleep over it, but she's in the God box. Know what I mean? That's all I have. So the first person was stop, stop, stop. Second was I wish.
Okay.
It's a gentler
And
feel.
so if I said, what is the difference between those two people?
One I'm married to. Okay. So I live with the insanity all the day long. And I do feel the intrusion on his life toward me. So that's the big difference. So I'm defending myself against intrusion. With the other one, I am more maternal toward her and wishing good things for her. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. It's all good. Yes, thank you. So good, Freddie.
Do you want me to read? Hi, everyone. My name is Freddie. So I'll just summarize that. I've known both people a tremendously long time. One has been a friend for over 20 years. One has been a friend for over 35. The one person who I'm like, the frustration is I don't trust them. And the person who I have grace for is I have grace for them. It's my best friend. And she's never been somebody who I could not trust. So I will always have an open heart and always want to facilitate this. You know what I mean? Like I always want to be helpful and grow together with her. So her flaws, like occasionally they might get like that, but never like, because
Yeah.
I see her
Awesome.
loving heart. Thanks.
Go ahead, Jasmine.
Okay. I wrote about one person who they're both in the work environment, but one and have like mean girl energy, but one of them is in the church and the one of them is in corporate. And so by being in church, I expect more. So I feel more frustrated with person A in the church because I know you are studying the principles. I don't want to say choosing, but unable to do better. And it's a judgment on my end. And then the other one is kind of like universal. And I don't expect much because not everybody is trying to work on things. And she does this behavior to everybody. So it's not personally towards me. And that's the difference between the two. I'll pass.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Jasmine. Okay, Katya, to you.
Thank you. At the beginning, I said I am frustrated with everybody, but I am working with that. I'm working on it. So I said, okay, why I'm frustrated with everybody? Because I want to control everything and everybody has to do what I say. But now thinking about it, I'm detaching from people that are not so important in my life. So now I have a name. I have a name. That's it. I am letting people live their own lives, except the ones that I really care about. So now I have a name. I wanted to share that with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Katya. All right, Shirley, to you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Shirley, and I'm a type 2 on the Enneagram, and I feel powerless and frustrated by my husband, Bernie. Being a 2, I feel very judgmental. I want him to do, when I ask for something, which of course I don't ask very often, I want him to do it right away and cheerfully. And I feel very powerless and frustrated by him. And oddly, Melissa, mine was also my niece, and I want the best for her. I've been like a mom to her because her parents have been divorced her entire life. I recognize her childhood trauma, and I feel the difference is with my husband, I feel powerless and frustrated and angry. And it's like it opens the dam to my feelings. Like all my feelings come rushing out. But when it comes to my niece, even though I feel powerless, I have a lot of acceptance and I don't try to change things. I don't try to change the way she is. So that's what I've learned. Thank you.
Awesome. I want to say too, my husband bought a little plaque one time and it was great. It said, "Can you just trust that I will do what you ask me to do, and you don't have to remind me every 6 months." Right? And I love that because he'll say, "Do you want me to do it right now?" I'm like, "No, but
Oh
not
my
like 6
God,
months from now." So I hear you.
that's
I
amazing.
hear you. Sheree. Thank you. All
But
right.
that's
Thank you,
what
Sheree.
it'll take. It might take 6 months. That's the problem. So there
Exactly.
you
I
go.
hear you. Thanks, Shirley. All right, Kathy. And there's a whole bunch of people, so that's good.
Okay,
Kathy, go ahead.
okay, I'll go quick. Type 2. There's a woman, actually two different women, they could be the same person that in volunteer organizations I'm a member of that I'm kind of over them. They're constant complainers, constantly complaining, and they talk, 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 talk. So I feel like they're an energy vampire for me. And then the other person would be my brother Mike, who I would like him to spend more time with me. He's a workaholic, and I'd like him to, I'm comfortable with him, so I'd like to hang out with him more. That's it. Easy, simple. I don't know
Thank
what
you.
says that about me other than I don't like energy vampires.
Amen to
But
that, sister. I hear you. Thank you, Kathy. All right,
thank
Michelle, to you, then Elham, etc. Go ahead.
Oh,
Thank
I
you, Kathy.
didn't. Thank you. I didn't realize I was already up. Okay, so I've got one of my children is the one that frustrates me, and then the second one I put picking my husband, and I'm trying to figure out what's the point of this activity, right? Share. It's like stop. But what is the difference? So with the one that frustrates me, I think what I realize here is that um, I just want to control him. I want to control the situation. I want it to go how I want it to go. I want him to listen when I say the first, you know what I mean? It's like all the things. And then for the second thing, my husband, I still have frustration about, I think what someone else just said about like wanting to spend more time and da 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 da. And it's like, but I give him the pass. And I think the difference is the first one frustrates me because of what he does, and the second one, it was like, I wish he would see me more. I wish, and so the difference is the first person I want to control. The second one, I'm kind of more willing to let him live his life. And yeah, I give a pass, right? I give a pass. I think it's something about like there's like it's easier, for the one and not the other. And I think it's like the wanting to control for me. I'll leave it there.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much. Elham, to you.
Hi, thank you so much. I the main one is my son that I wrote that uh, I want him to use all the opportunities that he has to have the life that he would like to have for his future and trust his family. And the other one is my husband doesn't do the things to keep himself like health wise safer, and my daughter that she is kind of overweight, and I suggested like go to OA and she doesn't want to listen. But the difference is my son doesn't show any effort or motivation to to feel better. He's just a stuck. But my daughter and my husband, they show interest. So that is the difference.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, so much. All right, Kim and Dave.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. So the person that frustrates me right now is my sister-in-law. My brother has been in the hospital for, I don't know, the past month, and he had major surgery last weekend. And she did let me know that he made it through the surgery fine. But then, by Wednesday, because I'm a 6, I'm fearful. By 6, I'm like making up all these crazy stories, so I reached out to her, how are things going? And, but she doesn't give me updates. I'm just supposed to know everything is fine unless she tells me differently. And so I'm trying to learn to trust that. Um, and the other person is my cousin. And it's just, because she wants updates and I send her updates, when I get them, but she doesn't always respond, that she even received it. And so in a way but there are people who don't respond to texts, and I've gotten used to that. And so I think the thing that makes it so much more is it just seems like the situation is more urgent with the first one. And, so like with the second one, oh, well, whatever, I did go about my life. But anyway, I don't know. But so that's kind of what I came up with.
Awesome. Thank you, Kim. All right, so we've got about 3 minutes left in this section and about like 8 people to talk. So unless you feel super compelled to talk, put your hand down if you don't feel super compelled. And the people that feel super compelled, will go ahead and let them, because we've got a lot to cover today, because I also want to cover why I had this exercise. Michelle, I'm glad you asked that. What is the point of this? I'll explain that here in a minute. All right, so Belinda and Binti and Linda and Becca and Sandy, thank you, those that put their hands down. Thank you so much. We'll catch you later. Okay, so obviously real quick here, because I got about 3 minutes left. Okay, Belinda, to you.
Linda, I'm a 7, and it was my 2 daughters, and it was a revelation that one was hurting herself and causing herself pain, and the other one causes me pain. So that was the difference.
Thank you. I want to ask you, I won't ask you like which one is which, but I'm thinking probably the one that causes you pain is the one that's you're finding frustrating. Yes. Yes. Okay. Thank you. All right, Binti, to you.
Yeah. Hi, Shell. Yeah, I was really surprised to see that it was power that was the differentiation between the two. The first one was somebody I've just started doing therapy sessions with, who's also a faculty member. And my wish is that they'd listen to me, very full. They'd listen to me, they'd open their mind to where I'm coming from, they'd understand where I'm coming from. They'd not impose their own thinking on me. And then the next one is my grandchild, my granddaughter, who's 4 years old, okay? And my beef is, but I love her, so there's no frustration in it. I wish she'd do what I ask, especially when it's her safety at risk, or the safety of her brother, or the sanity of her mother. But the differentiation is the first one, I assume, has some authority over me. And my granddaughter, I have authority over her. So it's a power thing. The control is in the power.
Awesome. Thank you, Binti. All right, Linda, to you, then Becca, then Sandy. Okay, Linda, go ahead.
Yeah. My situation involves when 2 people that I love are having a disagreement, a strong disagreement, and it looks like it's going to go south, and there's going to be irreputable damage. And then, and that was a recent thing that happened, but it did iron out, and then my other daughter-in-law doesn't come to family events often, and I wish she would come. It's that wish, but I'm okay with whatever she does. I accept her reasons for whatever she does. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, Linda. All right, Becca, and then Sandy, and then we will wrap this up. Go ahead. Becca or Richard.
The person frustrated and wanted to change, actually, my mom, who died 3 months ago, most frustrating person I ever met. And
she was she was an 8.
The not frustrating is my best friend's struggles with her mental health. And the difference for me is whether it's directed at me or not.
Awesome. Thank you, Becca. Go ahead, Richard.
And for me, it's my brother and my brother-in-law. And what the real difference is, my brother refuses to have a relationship with me, and my brother-in-law does have a relationship with me.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, thank you. All right, Sandy, to you, and then we'll wrap this up.
Hi, thank you. The two people I have is my daughter and a close friend. And the difference is one I can communicate with and open up fully. The other I can't. One, of course, is a family member. One is not. And the last difference is one I have expectations of, and the other one I don't. Thank you.
Thank you. And Sandy, you are like my straight man. You know, when there's a comic, there's a straight man who sets the comic up, and then they basically hit it out of the park. Okay, every one of these, and I took notes on everything everybody said, and all of this comes down to, it really does come down to, on the one hand, we have expectations, on the other, we do not. It is as simple as that. And some of you talked about power and control. There's trust. It's not personal. The energy vampire, almost like all of these things. And it ties to the type that you are as well. Okay. It absolutely ties to the type that you are. And I'm going to use Kathy as an example, who talked about the energy vampire, right? When you're around people that complain all the time, that ego structure, that defense for us will jump up, but it jumps up in different ways. And for the two who feels like they should solve everyone else's problems, right? You don't even have any idea what to do with that. I just stay away from people like that, right? I'm an 8. I just go, whoa, okay, I'm not going to spend time with that person, right? Even if there's someone that's in my sphere, I don't spend time with them, just because I know, because I try to take control too. It's a different way than the 2s do, but I'm also there. So really, truly, when it comes right down to it, every one of you that spoke in some form or other, and Binti, it ties back to the idea of the power and not. So take a look at that and say, there are 2 different groups of people. One is the one that, I mean, you can't control anybody. You can't change anyone. Some of the people frustrate you, some do not. This is worthy of your attention to say, why does that happen? What is the difference between that? Because, and even somebody did mention this idea of, I am able to detach. I'm able to detach from the second one. I can literally detach from that and basically say, that's them. And so much of it is that it's the difference between expectations that are not met and just acceptance that they are that way. And someone even mentioned early on that I think, Jasmine, you were saying, this person's not in recovery. They're not in recovery. Why am I expecting them to act like they're in recovery? They're not. And so there's an acceptance there that wouldn't be there in an environment where you expect better behavior. But it's almost always expectations, right? So keep that in mind as we go through this. I'm expecting great behavior. I'm kidding. That was a joke. I'm not expecting great behavior. All right, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again. Hold on just a second here. So once again, difference between person A and person B. We are good to go. Okay, here is topic 2. And topic 2 is moving from coping to celebrating. How do we move from coping to celebrating? So first of all, I want to say to those of you that went through 1.0 and hung in there and did the work, it was all about how do we cope? How do we take, how do we, and once again, the ego structure that jumps up and basically takes control and is in essence our personality, right, has been there even as children. It was there. And if your childhood was traumatic, it's really locked in. And its job is to protect us. And so the question when we're going through this is we have used this as a coping mechanism forever. And now 1.0, Supercharge 1.0 was all about recognizing that, accepting it, and kind of just helping, asking our greater power to help dissolve that. What? Right? And then what do I do instead? And the answer to that is instead of living in coping, we move in the direction of celebrating. So that's the next topic that we're going to be talking about here. Quick story. My husband and I were in Geneva, Switzerland at a really nice restaurant having dinner for our 30th wedding anniversary. So I walk outside, we're finished and my husband's paying, and I walk outside and there is a perfect double rainbow. I mean, like it is like from one end to the other, two. I'd never seen one, haven't seen one since. It was astounding. I was standing there just like in awe. It was so beautiful. Everybody's walking around not paying any attention, and I'm just like looking at this rainbow. My husband's in paying, chatting with the gal he's paying, whatever. Anyway, as he walks out, the whole thing dissipates. It's gone, right? And I was furious. I was furious. I mean, like, I can't even remember being that angry. I was so angry. I didn't react, which is kind of nice because I had already been in program a while. So I basically that night sat down and journaled on why was I angry? What was that about? Why was I angry? And then I realized I was angry because there was some lack in me. I'll say that. I don't know what it was. I can't even come up with the words. But it was like if someone else hadn't seen it with me, it wasn't real. It's like I know that it was there. I saw it. It was absolutely beautiful. The fact that I shared it, couldn't share it, doesn't mean that it wasn't real. So what I want to talk about more than anything else is that sharing does not make, right? Sharing something with other people doesn't make it more real. It may make it more fun. It would have been fun to share that with my husband. It may make it more bearable. When we share our pain with others, it makes it more bearable, sure. But it doesn't make the blessing or the struggle more real. It is real anyway. That is when we talk about reality, that is reality. That rainbow was there. It is reality. And I don't need to share it to make it real. It already is real. The struggle is real. Okay, so what I want to talk about then is why do we share? So let's talk about why we do share. Okay, every life has storms. I don't care. It's called life. That's the way it is. You do have storms, and you will have storms, and some are horrible, horrible storms, and some are not as horrible. But there will be storms in life no matter what. What I want to talk about is what allows us to happen is above the storm, above everything, are rainbows. And sharing helps us to see the rainbow. We get to see the lesson. So, and I'm going to tie back, Kathy, to what you talked about, these energy vampires that you talk about. They share in such a way that there's no chance that they ever see the rainbow because there isn't anything that comes back to them. And they want to live in that story of the storm, I'll say that. But what we want to do and what we learn in program, and certainly we learned in 1.0, and we're going to learn even more in 2.0, is this idea that sharing in a place like Surrender School, sharing here with us who have compassion, because we have detachment from you. We are not you. We listen to you with compassion. That's what we do. That's the way we live our lives. And as a result, I can help you. We all can help each other to see the rainbow, to see the blessing in the lesson, not just the lesson. We actually get to see the lesson, and then we get to see the blessing in the lesson, which is I got to, so much growth last year as I saw people dealing with their shit, right? I mean, it's amazing to me to see this and watch this. All right, so I took something. This is from Brene Brown's The Gifts of Imperfection. And she talked about when you're picking someone to share with, right? These are the people you don't want to do. And this is what usually happens is it's a family member, or it's an old friend who's not in recovery, or it's a new friend who's in recovery but isn't compassionate. It's all that. I'm going to read these real quick. There's the I feel sorry for you person. the difference between pity and sympathy, between pity and compassion, right? And you can sense it because we do sense it. All right. So I feel so sorry for you. Well, I don't need that. Okay, you should feel ashamed of yourself. You're already probably feeling enough shame. You don't need somebody like that. You let me down. Okay. Oh, the what were you thinking is if you were to speak up to someone in power and get fired or something, right? That person, instead of going, oh no, that's so sad. What were you thinking? Okay, let's make this go here. Come have a drink with me. Let make that go away, right? Oh, who can we blame? Let's figure out who we can blame. Okay. If you think that's bad, let me tell you the story of how horrible my life is, or I can fix this for you, which is usually an 8 thing. So what I want to do is read something out of the book, uh, The Gifts of Imperfection. When we are looking for compassion, we need someone who is deeply rooted, able to bend, and most of all, we need someone who embraces our strengths and our struggles. We need to honor our struggle by sharing it with someone who has earned the right to hear it. We are looking for compassion. It's about connecting to the right person at the right time about the right issue. The question that I'm asking you is, how do you discern if a person is worthy of your share? I want you to basically embrace the idea that your shares are valuable. And this has to be someone who is worthy of your share. And the deeper the share, because we're going to go, I'm talking deep during this going deeper. And I want to say, at Surrender School, we are worthy of your share. But how do you discern if a person is worthy of your share? And that discernment is going to be seriously, the discernment to decide who to share with and how is just so important. So let me go ahead and stop sharing. And I want to know, how do you personally discern, is this a person that I can share it with? Okay, so go ahead, Tanya.
Hey, Tanya, I'm a 7. Funny, talking about expectations. My expectation is the question is going to be, when do you know when it's time to share? Because this is not the question you asked, but I had a conversation with my sister who lives in Italy yesterday. We FaceTimed for like, 4 hours. And we were talking. My mom died last Valentine's Day. And so, it's February, so it's coming. So we were talking about something, and something we had never discussed was my mom died 6 months after my father, and my parents were married for 55 years, and they were in a horrible relationship and hated each other. And there was something that I had felt, a judgment towards my mom. It's like she just quit. She got, as soon as we had a chance to have fun, she gave up. And I would never dare say that to my baby sister because my mom walked on water as far as she's concerned. And she actually said that to me. And the rush of relief and how much closer and how much we talked after that was very intense, which is completely off topic. But I was really moved by that yesterday. But to answer that question, you know, my hair's coming back. But I was at one of my breast cancer support groups, and this woman I reached out to privately, and she called me and I said, she wanted to ask me a question about a situation. And when she called me, she called me at like 7 a.m. on a Saturday and text again, and then she just vomited all this stuff on me on the phone. And I was saying to somebody else in one of my other support groups, I do a lot of ACA. And I have you talk about the sharing. I have these ACA groups that I met at meetings 3 years ago, and we still do workbook stuff together. And I haven't been to an ACA meeting in 2 years, but they are my God squad. That's who I've been talking to every week for the last 4 years. And I said, talking with them, it's just so interesting to be around somebody who clearly is not in a program and has sort of as I call it, no emotional sobriety, no emotional awareness. And that's the kind of thing you don't want to share with, because I just had to cut her off. She hung up on me and she sent me a text message later to apologize, and I just didn't reply, and I haven't heard from her since. But it was just very weird to have that kind of energy and behavior coming at me when I've gotten used to talking to people who are doing some kind of recovery, some kind of self-help, some kind of spiritual whatever. Like even the ladies in my tarot group, just doing something that's not completely unhinged. And I think that's what it takes for me to be able to share it with someone, to believe that they are not going to judge me and that they are coming from a place of authenticity and trying to deal with their shit just like I'm trying to deal with mine. So
Yeah,
thanks for letting me
absolutely.
share.
Thank you, Tanya. And I want to say too, almost always family is not where you go. Almost always. Your family of origin is not where
Yes.
you go.
Yeah.
Almost always. And then also the difference, I need some nods here. The difference between sharing with someone in program who is able to listen with compassion versus someone who is not in program and doesn't even have the capacity. It isn't that they're bad people. They just don't have the capacity to do that because they haven't done the fucking work, right? I mean, it's to me, it's almost as simple as that. My poor husband, he listens to all my shit, and I'm really trying hard this year to bring it here and not take it to my husband. It's like he doesn't need to listen to this because he's personally involved in it, right? And it's almost always, it's like the person that needs to listen needs to be able to be detached from the situation. That's one of the reasons I don't talk to my siblings about it, because Tanya, just like you said, my sister, let's say anyone who's ever died has turned into an angel, and they were angels when they were here, and I don't view the world that way at all, right? So it's like and then it makes me feel like a bad person because I don't view that. I view that person as human. They were human and they had foibles like everybody else did. But with my siblings, you can't do that. With especially my mom, she died very young. And so anyway, right? So yep, Tanya, thank you so much for sharing. I hear you, sister. Okay, go ahead, Freddie.
Friend, it's Freddie. So for me, I've always been very private and in the past have mistakenly trusted people because of longevity in a relationship. And that's not who or where I am right now. My sharing is it's either in a recovery space or it's with my best friend. That's it, because she doesn't try to change me. She doesn't, and if she starts to like go down that, let's speed him up, let's do XYZ, I'll say, please, can you just hear me? And she'll stop. Because I think the innate, we want to help people, well, a lot of us do. And as women, we want to help, and she identifies with me, 35 years of friendship, almost, over 3/4 of my life. But yeah, it's being more selective for me because that's not who I used to be. We have 10 years in, let me tell you my plethora of problems. And then, then I hear my story being retold to somebody else and it breaks my heart, but I allowed that to happen. I mean, when you don't, what's the phrase? Like, once you know better, you do better. So thanks. I pass.
Thank you, Freddie. Yeah. And I think the discernment comes over time and sometimes it comes from hard lessons, but the discernment does come. And that's really what we're doing here. And by the way, the reason really and truly that Surrender School, if you get down to the very depth of why it was started, is to have a community that basically says that exactly what we're talking about, right? The discernment. And what will happen, because we're human, what will happen is there'll be people that we're listening to, we listen to them share, and it'll touch us, and we know that it's there. So, caution to all the people here, you don't repeat at all, what anyone says here at the meeting and what they say to you. You just don't. You just don't. It's just that simple, because trust, once lost, can never come back again. Right. So it's so important that it be that because that trust, and once again, it doesn't mean it doesn't mean that the only friends we have in our life are people we can trust with our secrets. No, that's where the discernment comes in. I have a lot of people in my life that I would never fucking tell them half of what I mean. That's just not that kind of friend. I can be friendly with them. Joy is one of those people. She would go to her grave with secrets of mine. And I know that. I absolutely know that. We've known each other, I don't know, 12, 15 years. And I know that I could trust her with anything. And she knows she could trust me with anything. Right. And it's one of those things. And I will tell you, I think even just having done Supercharge 1.0 last year, there's so much trust here. Right. There's so many people in my life now that I could go with whatever was going on with me, and they would understand and be compassionate, right? And maybe even give me a little advice, which I don't take well. They'd have to trust that I would not do it, but I'm kidding, kind of, sort of kidding. Anyway, okay, Francine.
I think basically it's already been said, but for 9, coming through the Supercharge 1, I, just coming to that place of really agreeing and understanding that my presence matter. And through that, I have been able to not only feel what I feel, but learn to express what I feel, and just found my voice in a lot of ways. But I found that it has been a to discern who would hold a space for me was a learning. I was, learning who would do that. And I found out that the people that I expected to hold spaces for me did not have the capacity to do that.
Yeah.
And so it is, for me, it has been discerning who those people are. I had a friend to ask me even yesterday, well, if anything is happening with you, would you let me know? And I said, well, it depends really on what it is that is going on with me, if I decide if I wanted to share it with you or not. But I remember being probably in October when I traveled, just was in a really emotional state when I was traveling. And I actually took some time to really sit with it and think, who do I want to call? Because I needed to talk to somebody. And I went through, the couple of friends that I had, and I knew I couldn't call them. And I just reached to someone. I reached out to Laurie, actually. And Laurie held that space for me and listened. And yeah, and then through that, I was able to have the courage to do what I need to do to take care of myself. So yeah, absolutely, I agree. It is about learning how to discern who those people are. And even though I have expectations that it would be the people that I feel like I hold space for, that they really just don't have the capacity to do it. So
That's
thank
right.
you.
And
Yeah.
I love, and I can hear such compassion because it's not even a judgment of that person. It doesn't make them a bad person. It just means they don't have the capacity, right? And I love that. I think that is absolutely wonderful. Thank you for
Yeah,
that.
that was sort of hard to understand, but that's just the truth. It just comes down that they don't know how. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, thank you. Okay, real quick before I hear a pharmacy story coming on real quick. Okay, Duck walks into a pharmacy, waddles in, says, "Got any grapes?" And the pharmacist says, "No, we're a pharmacy, don't have grapes." He waddles out, comes back the next day, "Got any grapes?" Pharmacist says, "No, I don't have any grapes. This is a pharmacy. Get out of here." He waddles out. Next day, he comes back in. "Got any grapes?" Pharmacist says, "No, and you come back in here again, I'm going to nail your little feet to the floor. Get the fuck out of here." Okay, waddles out. Next day, comes waddles in and says, "Got any nails?" And the pharmacist says, "No." And he says, "Got any grapes?" Okay, you can't get grapes from a pharmacy. You can't. No matter how many times you ask, you can't. So those people that you discern, once again, no judgment, you discern that they aren't the kind of person that is going to listen to you. And I think that ties back, right, to what was shared earlier. Anyway, when it was shared earlier, that right, there are some people that they can't listen, they can't actively listen, or they have to like act, they have to take it, they have to give you a solution, they have to whatever. Those are also not the right people necessarily, right? But that discernment, and it doesn't mean that they're not still good friends. They can be good friends. They're just not the friend that you share with, right? And that's what Surrender School brings to you. That's really what we want to bring to you, is a community of people that can share. And oh, it's Freddie. You're right there. I see you now, Freddie. You said earlier, right? She basically listened. She actually like listened to what you said, right? And that's what we want. So okay, cool. Go ahead, Kathy.
Yeah, I don't know if I have a lot more to add to that, but I do think that it's a journey, that we don't need to make that a black and white decision the first time we meet somebody or whatever, that we can take small steps and share little bits of our heart, little treasures that we share, and we can see how they react to that and so forth. And I think too, if we are good at modeling what good sharing looks like, that some people grow into that and can match us in that place, and we can actually help that person learn how to be a better listener as we're showing that and modeling that. So I think that it works on both sides, that we have to be really good at being good listeners and so forth, so that others can kind of match that and bring them up to where we're at. And again, we don't share big things until we get to that place where we discern, like, okay, this is a time where I can share something bigger, and knowing when that time comes. So
yes, and that discernment, and this is what's interesting, is the ability to discern comes as we grow as well, right? So so our ability to discern, is this a person that I can trust with whatever? And I think tied back to something Freddie said, where you said, can you just listen? Can you just listen? That's all I need is somebody to listen to me. And sometimes, and it's really hard, by the way, for an 8, because I always have a solution. I want to solve it, right? And I'm working really hard. I can't solve things for other people. I can't change other people. I can't solve things for other people. And so I think I'm becoming a better listener from the perspective that I realize now it's not my job to solve things for people. It's my right. Sometimes all we do is witness. Sometimes all we do, right? And there doesn't even need to be feedback the other direction. I don't even have to say anything, because sometimes all we need is someone to witness that we are feeling a certain way. And almost always those people will work it out themselves, right? Very often all we're waiting for is for somebody to tell us, or for us to tell ourselves. We already know the answer most of the time, right? This is Socratic, but probably true. Okay, Amy, to you.
I wrote down someone who makes me feel loved unconditionally without judgment, someone who holds space for me to feel seen and heard for my true, authentic, raw self, not with adding in what they want me to say and feel. So that was mine. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Amy. Yeah, absolutely. That's what I want. I don't know. I'm not sure. It's like you almost have to tell them before you find out if they are that person. But yeah, thank you so much. Go ahead, Teresa.
Yeah, a lot of things that people were saying too. I could, the same thing. I think because in my family there was never any trust. So it took me a very, very, very long time. Even my therapist, like I didn't trust them for years until I said something, very secretive, and that's confidential, knowing that they wouldn't, but it took me a long time. And then I think like I trial and now, like with baby steps, saying something and seeing if they share that before I go any further with something really deep. But I do have a friend that I do trust, and I know that for a long time I didn't share because there was shame. Like, there was a shame to share, like, oh, if I say this, they're not gonna, they're gonna think something. But yeah, it's a process, but I'm learning to trust in baby steps. So
cool.
Yeah.
And I think in 2, 3s, and 4s, shame is a big deal for 2, 3s, and 4s. Enneagram 2, 3s, and 4s. So thank you, Teresa. Go ahead, Shelley.
Hi, everyone. I'm Shelley, and someone I could trust, but also someone who has distance. I think that was said before. Someone who is not in the middle of it emotionally with me. So I find that as much as I love my sisters, they have they worry about me if I tell them something that's hard for me. And so their worry for me doesn't always make them the best choice. So program friends are a definite, but I have had experiences with at least one big one with a program person who did not keep it confidential and was in another program with my child. So he was in more than one program, and he said something to my son when he got off his wagon, and so that was very painful. But I think if I know somebody if they have a relationship with somebody else in my family or someone, I think now I know that they're not the right person to share. But
Yeah.
it's something that trial and error. but I have my people that I can share with, and I'm grateful for that. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Shelley. Yeah, and I do think if the person is also, because they're people too, and they have their own feelings and opinions and whatever, right? And so yeah, that's what makes it so hard in family to share your stuff, because they, even if it's not theirs, it's still somehow theirs, because you're kind of part of the same family. So thank you, Shelley. All right. Okay, go ahead, Elham.
Yeah, thank you. I, of course, feel most comfortable with people in the program. I tell them things that I never tell even closest people I know. But then there are some people, they say things to me and then they say, I love you. And they think it's all good because the way they responded, like when I share, happy about something, and then because of that person, because I was kind of celebrating in my heart that I'm feeling better about that situation. And like they say, you don't have to depend on other people to be happy. It's just that they look at it differently. So I didn't feel like they heard me. So I'm kind of careful who I share, because sometimes they don't understand where it comes from. Thank you.
Thank you, Ellen. Yeah, I'm kind of careful with who I share with too. So thank you. Go ahead, Freddie.
Be very quick. It just came to mind as we were all sharing. How about the one-uppers? How about when you're sharing a heartache and somebody, oh yeah, that sucks, but let me tell you what happened to me. It just completely devalues your moment. I just needed a moment to be heard and seen, and now, oh, we're back to you. Great. Thanks.
I heard that. I'm like, I think that's me. I'm sure I ought not to be that, but I think so. Jim, are you good? Can you talk?
Yeah, can you hear me okay
We
now?
can hear
Yeah.
you. Yay. Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, I had to switch to a tablet there. Got problems with the headphones. Cher, is it so wonderful to see you again and
Yes.
to hear you speak and be so wise and brilliant. When writing about person, I couldn't think of a person because I kind of left my family of origin behind, you know? So it wasn't so much a person as people. And even then, any person that I would think of, it would be myself because of maybe my own judgment of myself at times. So,
So I'm going to ask you a question. Who do you share with? How do you pick who you're going to
well,
share with?
yeah, that's what I was just about to come on to.
Okay.
So I bumped into, over the summertime, I bumped into a younger family member, a cousin's daughter, who is now a young adult themselves. Passed on my phone number, and we had conversations and so on and so forth. So my downfall is allowing family members back into my life now and then. So there was arrangements were being made for a visit at the time of her 21st birthday. And it fell through for different reasons, not for my own. And I was quite annoyed by it because I went out, I went out and bought a nice bangle, a nice silver bracelet for their birthday and a card and so on and so forth, and it all fell through. And so the realization that I allowed this person back into my life, I attempted being a family member, and then speaking about it with a trusted person. And this trusted person had said, well, they're emotionally vacant, or words similar to that, emotionally immature. Now, this is true, and I can relate to that, and I can understand that. But maybe a year ago, maybe even 2 years ago, I would have understood that, but I would have felt defensive hearing that. But now I don't, for a host of different reasons. And as much as anything, it would be because of the trusted person I'm having a conversation with. And there's very few people, although certainly in my past, I may trust a person to have a personal conversation with, only to discover that was a mistake. Now, there are very few people I would have a trusted conversation with.
Thank you, Jim. Yeah, and I do think so. Sometimes it isn't even that they're going to share it. It's just that they truly can't receive it. And that's okay. Right. And I think some of the acceptance on our part is we just go, that's okay that person they can't receive it. My sister is a 3, and I can remember I was going through something. This was many, many years ago. And I said, can we talk? And she said, oh no, I don't want to hear about this because I'm very shallow. And I said, Pam, nobody thinks they're shallow. Everybody thinks someone else is shallow, right? Anyway, I forced her to listen to me, which is such an 8 thing to do. But she knew herself well enough to know, yeah, I can't, I can't handle this. And so I'm so blessed by program because there are people that I do reach out to when I'm in the middle of whatever is going on with me. Okay, we got to move on. So I'm not going to call on other people, but we can at the end stay and talk more if you want. All right, but I am going to share my screen again and we're going to move on because I'm going to show you, one of the things I'm going to do is show you how to get to this, the going deeper stuff. All right, so one of the things that I want to talk about real quick is the fact that last year okay, so how does our ego and that protective part of us shield us from things, right? So, and what we do is we cope and we cope and we cope. But once we realize that coping is a shield, and not only does it protect us, but it also keeps us from living, right? So, and that's something to really think about. This is Casey Viator. Now, I met him many, many, many years ago. So maybe 40 years ago. Well, met means, if by meeting him means I stood and stared in awe at him, that would be meeting him. Anyway, my husband and I, when we first moved to Colorado, we were private investigators, and we were investigating somebody who was getting, we were working for an insurance company investigating somebody who had a bad back, who was a bodybuilder. And so we went to a bodybuilding contest, and Casey Viator was the guest poser. And he's up there, and he is like probably the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. He looked like a living, breathing statue. He was, I don't know, 6'5", just absolutely beautiful. And I'm not into bodybuilding stuff at all, but I'm telling you, he was stunningly beautiful. Now, what's interesting is he came out afterward, right? Then he's dressed normally, right? He's standing there, still a nice looking guy, but whatever. And people were asking him all these questions. They were, how much weight do you press, and whatever bodybuilding kind of questions. And he kind of had a quizzical look on his face. And he was just like, okay, because how do you answer questions like that? And finally, he said, I just do what I love, and I'm blessed by the work. And I was so amazed by that, because it's not about a recipe. It's not about anything, right? It is. And for me, we have coped enough. It's time to live. Do what you love. Do what you love. Put the shield down and just let your heart be there. For everyone, with everyone? No, of course not. But there's an environment where you can be that. You can truly be that. And I know in 1.0, I watched the growth of people. I watched that happening. So trust me, I know this. So Casey Viator, I kind of followed his career because I really admired him. I mean, not because he was a bodybuilder, but because he was a good guy. He was one of the few in that era that was a bodybuilder and a good guy. And he passed away at the age of 62 from a heart attack. Some people say steroid. I don't think they ever said he took steroids, but anyway, enough about him. All right. Once again, we learn from Al-Anon that the first thing is awareness. We become aware of something that we weren't aware of before. Oh, okay. And then we accept that, and then we take action. All right. So let's celebrate our victories. And we have a lot of victories, and we're going to celebrate a lot of victories this year. But I want to talk real quick about making choices. All right. If you go through your day asking questions like, what is wrong with me? What is wrong with me? Oh, what's wrong today? You're going to end up Eeyore, right? The better thing to ask, and I'm not talking about positivity, I'm saying use your mantra. If you don't know your mantra, when this is over, I'll cover the mantra with anybody who wants to know the mantra that I suggest for that type. But the mantra, okay, for me, whenever I'm feeling, I can almost always, whenever I am feeling like I feel weak, or I feel like I feel misunderstood, I feel like I've done something wrong, whatever those bad feelings are, I take a deep breath, and my mantra for the 8 is, in my vulnerability lies my strength. And I know if I go in the direction of vulnerability, I'll be able to get out of this, whatever it is. If I want amends, I make an amends, all of that. But I know that my mantra saves me. I know the 4s, the mantra for the 4s is, I have everything I need in this moment to grow. And I can tell you the times throughout this last year that people came forward and said, I use my mantra, and that is what we do. So you can ask what's wrong with yourself, you can beat up yourself, or on the other end, but in actuality, our life is both. We are both. There will be what is wrong, what's the matter? And then there is also the mantra. And if that gets the combined, that is how we celebrate our victories. That is absolutely how we celebrate our victories. It doesn't mean every day is confetti, but it does mean that there are good things. Okay. One thing I want to say, your coping strategy is type specific. It absolutely is. So, and I can tell when people are sharing, it's really interesting. I can even now, if I don't know your type, by the way you share, I can kind of tell your type, which is kind of interesting for me. I don't know. All right, real quick, I'm going to tell you how to get to all the places. Don't try to go there now. It's pretty easy. So on the Supercharge page, you'll see the B. Wherever you see the B, you know that's about the Supercharge, also known as Part B. There's something that says go to the Supercharge page, click on that. And then you're going to go in and pick your type. Notice the dotted thing. There is a manual now for Supercharge Part A, which is basically 1.0. There is a manual now that does summaries of all the videos. If you don't like to watch videos, you could do that, and then you could do the homework. Anyway, I click on my type, which happens to be A or 8, and then I come in here. All the steps are across. You're going to click on that, and that takes you to the normal Supercharge 1.0 that you've already been through. If you haven't, you can go through that. And then at the bottom, you'll see the words, and this is what it says: Explore Going Deeper, Type 8, Step 1. Click on that, and it takes you in here. Going Deeper, notice it says Going Deeper, Type 8, Step 1. Always has the lion, because I'm the lion-hearted protector. All right, so here is the assignment. The assignment is to read step 1 for Supercharge. If you go into 1.0 and just read it, don't answer the questions, just read that, because that kind of gets you going. And then you're going to click on the Going Deeper. You're going to do step 1, section 1 and 2, because that is what you will share on next week in the breakout rooms. And once again, now what's happening is I cover it, and then I give the assignment, and then you're going to share on it next week. Okay. So once again, breakout rooms are first. You want to be on time because we'll put you in the breakout rooms. And once again, Lori and I are going to determine those breakout rooms this afternoon. All right. And then I do topic 1 and topic 2, the 2 topics. And then I do the homework assignment. So we're done there. Since you saw Casey Viator, I figured I'd show you this too. Go ahead, Melissa.
I love that you brought Eeyore onto the table to show us, because I used to think, as a person who struggled with depression for many, many decades, that was my forever middle name. And I used to fear that people kind of ran the other way, when they'd see me coming, knowing I was depressed, like, oh, here she goes. She just can't get herself together. She's just forever got a rain cloud over her head. I'm not that way anymore. I thank myself for the depressions I lived through. I thank my higher power for giving me the grace to get through it. And I feel like Tigger, not nonstop positivity, ridiculous, saccharine sweet, but I can say, wow, when these difficult times happen, or, things happen I didn't want to have happen, I say, I didn't want that to happen, but I'm going to learn something from it. So I'm like, what's that, shovel through the pony shit? You're going to find the pony, and I will, and I do. And so it's helped me be real. And so I love my inner Eeyore. I love my inner Tigger. I got them all now. I don't know who the other character. Oh, Winnie the Pooh. Come on, who doesn't love the little honey bear? You know what I mean? Anyway, thanks for bringing that up. That we can befriend all the inner little parts and be good with it. That's integration. That's recovery. Thanks.
Thank you. And Tigger, it's interesting because he's T-I-double-G-R, right? So he's not the wimp that everybody thinks he is. He just happens to be happy. I love Tigger. I had a friend that I used to work with in software, and they called him Tigger, and he was just like, even looked like it. He was a person, but he kind of looked like Tigger. Okay, Jim, to you, and then Katya. Go ahead, Jim.
Thanks, yeah. I just wanted to kind of round things off from earlier. That experience that I described, it made me realize the dysfunctional family from which I originate, my family of origin. It's the dysfunction, the emotional emptiness has moved to a new generation in this young girl, this young woman. And it's a shame, you know?
It is.
And and she probably doesn't even realize as she's wandering through her various experiences. And it is a shame and it's unfortunate, but there's nothing I can do about it. I have no control. Yeah, I just a quick question here. The assignment that you mentioned there, I couldn't jot down everything that you had said. Would it be slides be up on the website from
We don't
today?
put the slides out, but we will put the assignment out. So it's
Okay,
basically your type. So you'd go to
yeah,
your type, step one, the first two sections.
yeah, yeah. I'll find it. I'll find it later. Um,
Okay.
um, great. Thanks. Thanks very much. Take care. Bye
Thank
bye.
you. And I want to say, Jim, yeah, it's like some of that, especially families that are screwed up, which is most families, I guess, anyway, but families that are very screwed up, they don't suddenly become unscrewed up. They just don't. Those families are that. And and then there's damage done to the kids and blah, 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 all this. But Bill W. gave us a path to basically break free of that. And it doesn't mean you still don't see your family, as I guess but some people, if the family is super duper toxic, the answer is that you don't spend time with the family unless you have to, right? So, and there's nothing wrong with that either. That's another part of discernment. Discernment says, because we get to be the star of our own movies. This is my movie. I get to be the star of my movie. That is what allows me to set the boundaries that I feel I need to set. Now, I am over boundaried sometimes, and some people are under boundaried sometimes, right? And what we learn is, okay, how do I set boundaries? I wish that I could set boundaries with a softness, softer than I am. I'm pretty clumsy at setting boundaries, especially if the boundary feels stepped upon. I'm pretty serious about that. But anyway, so yeah, but I think, and what I'm hearing in you is this compassion for this young woman who doesn't have a way out. She doesn't know the way out, at least, right? And that's sad. That is sad. And to be able to feel compassion instead of irritation, such growth, right? It's awesome. All right, Katya, I'm going to have you share. And then I do have the mantras, etc., for each of the types, which I will cover after this for anybody who wants to hang around and do that. The final part of the official class, I'm finishing right on time, is the assignment. And once again, if anybody has trouble finding it, just remember you go into 1.0, and at the bottom of that step, it says going deeper. Click on that. Whenever you go deeper, if it's too deep, it's like, whoa, too much, then go back to 1.0 and you can share on that when you come into the thing, because the entire purpose of this is for us to go deeper so that we can move from coping to celebrating. That's really what we're doing. Good. All right. Oh, love you guys. All right. So I'm going to cover the mantras right now. Well, right after Katya's finished sharing. Go ahead, Katya.
Don't worry, Cher. I just wrote it on the chat. I am very
okay.
thankful to my higher power because things come when I am ready to learn them. And I am very grateful. Thank you.
Thank you. And yeah, and that's exactly what happens. At least that's what I have found happens. All right. So for this is the icon for ones, whenever you see the little beaver, and the mantra is at the bottom here. Take a picture of this slide if you want to. It isn't always my responsibility. Some other people have found mantras. If you're going to make up your own mantra, I really would love it if you kind of run it by me. The reason I'm saying that is because sometimes people will choose mantras that are like they show up in the world a certain way. Like that would be, I need to be in control. As a mantra for an 8 would be a horrible mantra for an 8, right? In my vulnerability lies my strength. That's what basically allows me to show up as my true self as opposed to that protective self, that shielded self. Okay, so that's the 1. The 2 shows up with the little dog, and the mantra for the 2 is ask for what you need and ask again, for the best love comes from a full well. Take a picture of this slide if you are a 2. Okay, for the 3, once again, whenever you see the peacock, the mantra for the 3 is to get to truth, I must be informed by my feelings, because they usually will avoid feelings. Take a picture if you are a 3. All right, for the 4 is the little tiger cub. I have everything I need in this moment to grow. And by the way, if you go back to 1.0, if you go back to triple E12, it is a unicorn. But Melissa and I spoke about this. She's like, unicorns aren't real, and we are, right? So I use a little tiger cub, which is rare and beautiful. I have everything I need in this moment to grow. Take a picture of the 4 if you are a 4. For the 5 is the fox because they're wise. And the mantra for the 5 is making contact with my direct experience and feelings will bring greater clarity and knowing. So take a picture of the 5 if you are a 5. And for the 6 is the mercat. I love mercats. I was in Auckland, New Zealand at the zoo there, and these little mercats, I mean, you can stand right there. They're 5 feet from you, and they poke up. They all 3 look in all these different directions. It's hilarious. All right. So for the mercat, faith is believing in things unseen. I am guided within. Take a picture if you are a 6. For the 7 are the otters. I love these little otters. They're so cute. And this is like maybe my favorite picture in the entire world. I just love these little otters. I love otters anyway. All right. So for the 7, focus and staying present are my holy work. I am enough. And I love this whole idea of holy work. There's holy work that I'm doing. Okay. That's the 7. Take a picture if you are a 7. Here is the 8, who is the lion-hearted protector. That's why the lion. In my vulnerability lies my strength. Take a picture if you are an 8. And for the 9, they are the peacemaker and this little sloth. I love this little sloth. This little sloth, and their mantra is began, and still mine is resolve small things before they become big things. But what happened is as 9s grew and changed, that mantra changed to my presence matters, or something like that. My presence matters, or I do things that bring me joy, like those. So, and those are perfect. I do things for myself that bring me joy, right? So those are wonderful mantras. Almost all the 9s changed the mantra in some way, like they started with this and then made changes as they grew spiritually. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. We'll come back to here. All right. So anybody have comments or questions or anything before we let you go? Like, I'm looking at faces. They all look like these stunned expressions like, what did she say? I know I talk fast. Sorry. Okay, go ahead, Melissa.
I just want to say to anybody who's new, and this is like your very first time here at an Enneagram thing, welcome. Don't be overwhelmed at all by all the information, because if you just know what your type is, that's a wonderful start. And if you just know how to get to the page on the Surrender School about what's the deeper question, that's all you're going to be really addressing. And it may take a lifetime to learn all about your type. That's what's beautiful. And as you get to know other people's type, I guarantee, like it happened to me, a softening, an opening in my heart to understand, oh, not everybody thinks just like me. I don't have to fix everybody because they're not, they are doing their thing. So don't get overwhelmed by the amount of information. Sherry used to always go like this. If your hair is blown back because you're sitting at a meeting with me, that's kind of normal, but she's full of life and energy. But I promise you it's worth it to keep coming and let it flow into your heart. Don't worry about understanding it all right now.
Thank you, Melissa. The other thing that I want to say, this is working the steps by type, which means you do need to know your type. Otherwise, it's going to be a lot of work. If you're going to try to do all of it, you don't want to do that. And the other thing that I want to say is that the actual learning that will happen here, I mean, I'm covering stuff so you have things to think about. The actual learning is on the web page where you do the work and answer the question. And then you come back and share next week. So this is the first time when we did Supercharge 1.0, I was teaching a lot of Enneagram stuff because some part of me didn't realize that you're going to learn it about your type by working the step by type. The actual work is where you learn the stuff, right? So I guess what I'm saying is here I'm covering, like, giving you slightly different ways to think about the assignment, but it's tied to the assignment. So what'll happen is you're going to go out there now and you're going to look and say, wait, didn't we already discuss this? Yeah, we did. With your initial brain dump that said, okay, let me think about, now you're going to go deeper. You're going to go deeper into that and really, really think about it and really, really, right? And Becca, from something that you said earlier, right, about your mom, and Richard, what you said about your brother and brother-in-law, it's like, okay, you know this, just right off the top of your head, you know this. Now let's go deeper into that and say, where is this coming from, right? And now, one thing I want to say, Becca, to you, I wasn't able to work on any of the stuff about my 8 dad until he was gone. And certainly I don't wish that he was gone, but right after he passed away, there's just this huge field of stuff that I can bring up and deal with, because I mean, it sounds probably insensitive, and I'm not trying to be insensitive, but it is easier when they're not here. It sounds awful to say that, but it is true. At least it was true for me. I was able to really, really dig deep and do some really good work on him because he was a good guy, but he was an 8, no doubt whatsoever. Right? Go ahead, Shelley.
This is my first time, and I've read over the types a while ago, and I picked out one, but I don't feel certain. I think there's a list of, or description. Is that in that book that you recommended?
Probably the best thing to do is out on where the B is on the Supercharge page, there's something that says take the test. Go ahead and take the test. It'll probably help you. And Michael Naylor believes that the test points you in the right direction, right? It points you in the right direction. But there are a lot of people that began with the belief that they were one type and then realized that they weren't that type and then switched over to answer the questions for that type. Yeah, take the test. That's I think your best beginning, Shelley, is just to take the test.
I did that. I think I did that originally. Someone sent me that. But tell me, how do I get to that page again, please?
It's surrenderschool.org, O-R-G, and just no space, just surrenderschool.org, no spaces.
Okay.
And you'll see, and that's the reason, by the way, the B is there, because if just look for the B and you'll find it, and then you'll know that has all the information there. Thank you, Shelley. Welcome. Glad you're here. All right, Tamara, to you, and then Ambra. Go ahead, Tamara.
Morning, everybody. I had 3 quick things. I know it's up to us, but share. I was hoping you might say what your vision is for what we're actually writing in our special notebook, because there's lots of notes, but then there's like the different things we talk, the topics, the moon challenge or whatever, and then whatever the homework is. So what was your vision of that?
Mine is that everything goes into the same notebook, and it's just the 2.0 notebook. But then again, I'm like, if you saw my notes, you would think that there was something wrong with me mentally. There probably is something wrong with me mentally.
Your notes. I don't have to see your notes. I already
Exactly. It's like no one can read them. I can't. I'm like, I wonder what this was about. And it's my note, right?
Okay. The other thing I shared in the chat, but since you don't read the chat, as far as the frustrating person and the non-frustrating person, I really, my sister-in-law is, I believe, a 7. So that's a wing of mine. And I don't think she's at a very high level of health, doesn't do any recovery, thinks she's just outwardly, she expresses she's just amazing. So, and then my brother is a 9. And so I've come to see, I'm very happy, grateful. I'm a 6. One of my brothers is a 3 and one of them is a 9. So that's kind of neat. I've got my whole triangle, and my 9 brother, I think that's my integration direction. So that's kind of what I saw for that. And then a little quick story, because we're talking about parents, and my dad's an 8 and he's going to be 90 in April, and he's really declining. I mean, he's still out there moving around, but he's very much declining in his energy. And he has always been a very tough 8. And he said the other day, because every time I see him, he says, be sure and tell, my daughter, be sure and tell her I love her. And I'm like, I do every time, because you tell me every time, which I'm grateful for. He goes, well, every morning I wake up with a new reservoir of love, and I just have to get it out there in the world. And I'm like, whoa, there is something going on in that head when he's sitting in his chair all day. I was like, and I shared that with my daughter, and she was just so, we just had a good time with that. So that's what I've got to share today.
Thank you, Tamara. Yeah, and I want to say too, so everything that we're doing, some of it is just relax and trust the process of work. Tamara mentioned that I purposely don't read the chats, but the chats can be very valuable. A lot of people, they learn so much from the chats. So I purposely don't read them, because I do feel a compulsion, or it's right for me to actually really listen to the person that's sharing. Right. So even though there's chatting going on, so if your intention is to talk to me, you're going to have to like speak up and say something, and not, because I do not read the chats at all. They're never there. Sometimes, and Tamara will say, the chat was really good today. You may want to make a copy of it. Right, to me, she'll say that, because I completely miss it. I love the fact, and once again, my skill is that I take something very simple, very complex, and make it simple so you have an entry point. That really is my purpose. You have an entry point, and then from there, it's up to you to take it and do something with it. Right. So I'm not like, let me tell you how to use it. I don't know. I don't know. You're you. I'm me. I don't know. I'm going to take this complex idea that I've come up with or that came from somewhere, and I'm going to basically make it as simple as I can. So you got something to think about, something to journal on, something, right? And we want to go deeper. That's really what this is about. So, and I'm very, very excited, especially because this time around, that initial one where I said, here's person A and person B, what's the difference? I had no idea what was going to be said, but I loved it because it was all by type. It was like, yay, it was awesome. Okay, thank you, Tamara. Go ahead, Albra.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, I'm in late, whatever, but I listen and, in between. I just want to say the homework for next week is in website, right?
Yeah.
So, and I know that you already say, but what we have to do, sorry.
Okay, so what you're going to do is go into the regular supercharged stuff that you've been in before, right? So for your type, and I know you're a 4, so you would go to the 4 and then choose step 1, and then you're going to see this regular supercharge, and at the bottom of that, you're going to see going deeper. The words going deeper. Click on that, and it takes you where you want to go, and you want to do section 1 and 2. 1 and 2.
Okay. It's clear, there is writing. It's clear what I have to do. Okay.
Yeah.
For the
Awesome.
next week. And then the next week we start. Okay. That's it.
And then we share, and that's what you're going to share on in the breakout room, which is in essence a repeat, although if you go deeper, it's not a repeat of what we talked about today. So I cover the concept so you have kind of a different view of it, and then you go in and do the homework. And Ambra, I want to say, I know that you're late. This is not judgment in any way. You're late quite often. The breakout rooms will be in the beginning, not later. So you'll want to be on time if you possibly can, because the breakout room is in the beginning when you want to share on this. And by the way, we learn so much by what we are willing to share. So much of the learning comes from that as I'm putting it on the journal or as I'm sharing it, it's like, oh, I didn't even know I knew that. I didn't even know I thought that. I didn't even know I felt that. And so that's how we're learning. So thank you, Ambra. Okay, Richard.
Can I say something? It's first 1 and 2, right? You say about the
section 1 and 2. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Section 1 and 2. Yep. Okay. All right. Thank you, Ambra and Richard and or Becca.
Yeah, I'm just responding to something in the chat because somebody said they were having trouble figuring out the homework. And I want to say, because last year it took me until you opened up the website share, or somebody did, and showed us exactly what to do. I'm a visual learner, and until somebody actually showed us it just never sunk in. And so for the new people, if you can't figure out what to do, reach out, and we'll show you. I don't know we have a Surrender School WhatsApp chat. If you're not in that yet, you can be. But I found it very confusing to figure the homework out until I saw it demonstrated. And then the other thing I want to say is I'm really excited to be looking at the questions again from the first time around. For one thing, I think there may be some differences, I hope, in how I'm responding. But also, I have a couple other types that I feel very strongly identified with. And I'm going to go back and look at those questions for those types. And instead of answering all the questions, I'm going to grab the ones from the first year that particularly speak to me. And that may be another thing that people that are new, that have not gone through this process yet, that might help you kind of get on board, is just a quick review and question answering of what happened last year. And it kind of helps lay out the groundwork.
Right. And if you haven't been through Supercharge 1.0, you may want to even answer questions, but what I don't want to do is burden you too much with stuff from from before. I don't want to burden you. I do want everybody to read it because once again, that's the foundation, and then we go to the next. Then we go deeper. So even if you read it, don't answer the questions because that's it. It could be a full-time job to do that. We don't want to do that. So what we really want to do is basically look it over, right? See, oh yeah, I see where it's going here, and then you go into going deeper. And once again, yeah, reach out to one another. If you are stuck and you don't know how to get there, always look for the B, and then you just basically go into the supercharge, and then you're going to pick your type, which is pretty simple. And then across the page has all the steps. You figure out what step we're on, click on that. At the bottom of that page is going deeper. So, and I know you're a visual learner, and many people are, but it is simple. And once you know how to get there, then it's super easy to get there. Joy has set it up in such a way it's super easy to get there. And by the way, the reason going deeper is a separate page is because the manual that is there, we want you to be able to print out your own type stuff from Supercharge 1.0 and build your own manual for your type. So we wanted that separate so you could print out those pages and stick them in the manual. So you have a type, in your case, Becca, a type 4 manual, right? We want you to be able to do that. So, okay, thank you. Richard, did you want to say something? Go ahead.
Yeah, just an open invitation. What used to be Cher's office hours, which would be the certain days during the week following the Supercharge session, if there are things, questions that you might have and the like. So tomorrow and Tuesday, and it's all lined up. It's 8 a.m. Pacific time. You use the same room, this Zoom room 2. So you just click on the link and you can find that on the Supercharge website. But a bunch of us will be here on a regular basis on Monday and Tuesday mornings, and we have a lot of things to discuss. So open invitation for everyone to join us.
Thank you. Thank you, Richard, for that. Yeah, so that should be very cool. Thank you. All right, Lori, to you, and then Martine.
I just wanted to remind everybody to register for the retreat if you can make it. That's going to be in June at and we have there's been an extension to the discount, so discounts are available, and that's a $50 savings until February 15th. And I'm just like the dates of the retreat are June 12th through 14th. And also want to let you know that we are offering scholarships, and we've had some people that have had a change and are unable to come. And so please, if that's something that would make a difference for you, for a scholarship, which will cover the registration fee, please consider applying for that. And that all that information is in the registration process. So but if you have any questions, reach out in WhatsApp. I'll put my number in the chat also if you have any questions. Thank you.
So thank you, Lori. Okay, Martine, to you.
Just really quick, how do we show our love in a physical way?
I can answer that.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes, there's right on the website, surrenderschool.org, there are donate.
I did put the link in the chat to with the QR code for making a donation. Thanks for asking about that, Martine. There's also a button on the homepage of the website.
Tamara, I don't know if your hand is up or still up.
It's just a quick question. When you coping, how we cope is type specific. Are you referring to our defenses then, or is that a separate thing?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that protective, those things that jump up, like Michael Naylor says, without our permission, right? They jump up. Those are absolutely type specific. Yep.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Right,
thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Love you guys. Thank you so much.
Couldn't love you anymore. You guys are so funny. Thank you.
So good to be back and having our meeting.
Thanks for recovering with us.